Welcome to the June 6th, 2018 Revere Conservation Committee meeting. I want to start with something that hasn't been done in a while, with a Pledge of Allegiance. A salute to the flag, please. And first, we'll have a roll call. Debbie Santiano McHatton, present. Heather Legere.
Present.
Ann Raponi.
Here.
Joe Lavalley.
Here.
And Robert Cassidy is absent. And I'm Nick Malaysian, the interim chairman. First item is a public meeting, Mass DEP file 061-0667, applicant Andrew Burke, extension for an order of conditions issued on July 1st, 2018, to construct a single-family home at 16 Pearview Avenue. Want to come up, Andrew? Just name and address for the record, please. Just press the button, Andrew. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Burke, and I'm the owner of 16 Pearview Ave, in the process of building a single-family dwelling, and I'm here to procure an extension so that the project can still keep going forward.
Okay. So he's here extending the order of conditions because the construction's been delayed, and when he originally got the order of conditions, it was back in 2015, so it's going to expire on July 1st, 2018. So nothing's changing. We're just extending the order another 3 years. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion to extend the order of conditions.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, all set. We'll get it signed off, and I'll get you the original in a couple days.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. You're
Appreciate
welcome,
your
Andrew.
time. Have a great night.
Thank you. Second is a public meeting, Mass DEP file 061-0464, 777 North Shore Road. Represented by Attorney Corey Rhodes, certificate of compliance for order of conditions issued back in 2003 for work performed and completed. Property has been sold, and the certificate of compliance is needed to clear the title for the Registry of Deeds.
Good afternoon, good evening, Chairmans. My name is Corey Rhodes. I'm an attorney with the Ambrosio Brown LLP, and I represent the applicant 77 Partners LP. This is a little bit of an unusual situation that an order of condition was drafted and recorded against the title in 2003. When my client first bought the property back in, I think 2017, their prior attorney never found it, never saw it there, and only when they've gone to sell it now that this came up with the current buyer. With the chairman's help, we were actually able to take a look at some of the old files for the commission around the same time period, and did find that in April 2004, April 27th, it looks like there was actually a hearing following a site inspection in April 24th of 2004, and that a draft order approving a certificate of compliance was put together. We suspect that the original was provided to the owner and they just failed to record it at that time. We're simply here asking that that be reissued so that we can clear the title related to this 2003 order of conditions.
So basically, this board, this commission back in 2004, well, in 2003, I think we originally issued an order of conditions. 2004, we gave them a certificate of compliance, but the certificate of compliance was never filed properly with the Registry of Deeds to clear the title. So that's what we're doing now. We're issuing them a new certificate of compliance so they can clear the title. Any questions by the members?
I have no questions. Sounds pretty,
Pretty cut and dry.
well set.
Yeah. All right.
Excuse me,
Commissioner
Mr.
Joe?
Chairman, yes. Were there any gasoline tanks, storage tanks in the ground that?
At this property, I think there was a oil water separator maybe, and this is
I'm talking fuel, diesel, gasoline.
Not that I'm aware of,
Yeah, I
no.
don't think so.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think back that far, but
It's, I think there was,
I don't know if Rent-A-Tool had something above ground.
I feel like maybe they did, but not that my clients told me about, and it's now, the use that's going on there now is it's a crane kind of company for construction. So they're probably not using it in the same way.
Well, I know that the crane company never came before us with anything.
Yeah, they were only doing any kind of renovations to the building itself, as far as I know.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to reissue the certificate of compliance?
I make the motion to do that.
Ann Raponi, seconded by Joe Laval. All right, let me just get this signed. Hey, Corey, you might as well stay there because the next one's you too. All right, so the third item on the agenda, Mass DEP File 061-0650-777 North Shore Road, represented by Corey Rhodes, Attorney Corey Rhodes, certificate of compliance for order of conditions issued on October 1st, 2014 for helicopter pad work that was never completed, never started and never completed. So we're basically we're closing out this order of conditions, but the work has never been done, which is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So when you sell the property, then you're voiding the helicopter pad? That doesn't come with the property, in other words?
Correct. I believe what the petition at that time was for constructing some sort of helicopter shelter or something, and it appears to be never being built. It wasn't on the property, and at this point, I don't think they have any plans to continue that, and that order is now expired. So if they were going to do anything, they'd have to come back to you.
And yet, there was a helicopter landing there
There was, yeah.
for a few years.
I heard from my client that they were even out on like doing an inspection of the property, and one came down. No one knew there was a helicopter pad there. But yes, there are no plans to continue that. And if they were going to build anything at that helicopter pad, they'd have to come back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions from the members?
No questions.
Do I have a motion to issue certificate of compliance?
I'll make the motion to do so.
Ian Raponi, seconded by, I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Seconded by Heather. Thank you. Hi, Corey, I'll get all the originals, I'll get them to you in a couple of days.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
Next item is Mass DEP File 061-0716-140 Lee Burbank Highway. Global companies to replace 8 deteriorated pile vents on existing access pad of terminal dock. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is David Porter. I'm with Childs Engineering Corporation. I live at 14 Old Chestnut Street in Franklin, Massachusetts. Our request tonight is basically to do, for lack of a better term, maintenance on the existing piers at the facility. And the way in which we're proposing to do it is to install a new set of pilings, which are the elements that support the timber walkway and the pipes that carry the product from the ships onto the land. And the way we're going to do it is install the new one and then remove the old one right next to it, so there'll be no net change. But if we don't re-support those things, we wouldn't be happy. So we want to make sure we re-support everything before we take the old stuff out. And
Any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. I will refer you to the photos 1 and 2.
Yep.
Am I looking at the pilings that are going to be replaced?
Yes, you are looking at all of the pilings at this point, but there will be 8 individual sets. So if you look at photo number 1, I'm going to go by memory here, and I'm not a young fellow anymore. I think there's 3 of them in that first group, and then if you look at photo number 2. That's from the same corner that the photo's taken for 1, and you're looking down that, and that's where the other 6 will be done.
Joe, remember we were there last year for the other project they did?
Yes,
And he had explained to us they're gonna be doing work the following year.
yes. Well, you know, I can actually see in photo two, I can see some double pilings there. The one's all withered away on the inside, and then there's a more substantial one on the outside. And then the closest ones are all singletons, and they don't look that bad.
Well, correct. They, not all of them are bad. That's why we are only doing a total of 8 out of, if you go to the
I
plan,
think there's 56 or something total,
exactly,
right?
there are some 56, and so we're not doing everything. We're only doing those that need to be repaired now. I would suggest that you will see us again at some point in time, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. Well, when others go bad, we'll come back and ask for the same permission.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes.
You say you're going to repair 12 of 50 some odd?
8
8 out of 50.
out of 56.
And how do you determine which ones are the most needy?
Okay, Child's Engineering specializes in marine structures, and we do inspections, and all of our engineers are also divers, so we look underwater to determine if the marine borers, those are the creatures that they don't actually eat the wood, but it looks as though they're eating the wood, and we determine whether they've damaged the pile sufficiently that there could be a problem if they're not repaired. And so preemptively, before they go bad next year, this coming winter with bad ice, some combination, we're going to fix them. And then, as I say, that's 8 of 56. We'll do another inspection, and then when it's appropriate, we'll fix more.
Will you be looking at between the 8 and the 50? Will you look at all of them when
Right.
you determine the 8 that you're going to fix?
Yes, we look at all of them every time. And then we pick, I shouldn't say we pick,
The ones in worse condition?
the ones that are in conditions that, in our opinion as engineers, need to be addressed to make sure that the pipes that carry the fuel don't, become unsupported and therefore would cause a problem. So it's our job to stay on top of it. We help them understand what the conditions are so Global can maintain them.
And one last question, if I may, Chairman, Mr. Chairman. How often are you going to be re-inspecting these for further work?
We do these at the greatest interval is 3 years, and that's if we feel that the conditions that we've observed and the repairs that we make will give us that much time, but we've done it as frequently as every year.
Thank you very much. That's very important to know what's coming down the road.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions from any other commissioners? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have
And
a
I'll second it.
All right, all set. We'll
Thank
get
you.
this signed off, and I'll get you the originals, and within a couple of days, they'll get mailed out to you.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Just a quick one, Mr. Chairman, I believe Marine Fisheries got in touch with you.
I actually did. I apologize. I did. I got a letter from Marine Fisheries yesterday for the rest of the commissioners that the work that the scope of work they're doing is not going to interfere with any type of stuff. Can I just ask you a question? What was your name again?
David Porter.
David Porter.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Welcome, you too.
Next is a public hearing, Mass DEP file 061. We don't know the other 4 numbers yet. We'll get them the next day or two. They'll be issued. This is for 263, which is now 265 Rice Avenue, Pines Realty Trust, construction of a 2,185 square foot single-family home with a 10-foot driveway on 2 lots with 852 square foot of land on lots 192F-42, 192F-44. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to do so.
Do I have a second?
Good evening. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Joe Laval.
I don't want to jump the gun.
Yeah, name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Peter Blaisdell. I'm a registered professional engineer and land surveyor, Williams and Sparagus, 189 North Main Street in Middleton, Mass.
Do me one favor, put that easel on that side, facing that camera, so he can get it on camera for the public. Please.
Okay,
Just
Mr.
turn it a little bit.
Little more?
Yeah, the camera's on the, see where the camera is above the door there?
Now I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that good, Rich? All right, great. This is the green slips
The green cards, a couple full size for you.
of the new plans.
Yeah, the revised plan, and I'll give some of these smaller plans to members.
This one all set? So basically, all that's changed in the plans you guys have is we're going from an asphalt driveway to pavers in the driveway.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. You want me to just do a brief introduction? You actually did a pretty good job there anyways, but, which is good. Less I speak, usually the better. Good evening, everyone. As mentioned by the chairman, this is a undeveloped lot. It's 2 lots. Pines Realty Trust is the owner. Mr. Rizzuto is going to construct a home here. He presently owns and lives in the home next door. So he's going to construct this home, which is a lovely home. I think you'll probably find when it's all constructed, it's going to be quite a sight to behold. He's put a lot of time and effort into this, actually about a year.
How many times did the guy from California fly out? A few times, right? Didn't we talk about that on Saturday? Twice.
Yeah. His favorite architect, unfortunately, lives on the
in
West
California.
Coast. So, but that's okay. We've been working with Mr. Rizzuto for, probably a little over a year now, on how to best meet the intent of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Revere bylaw. So some of the things that the commission would be interested in and why we're here is that this area, basically that you see behind this blue line, is land subject to coastal storm flowage. So essentially everything that, if you get a 100-year storm in Lynn Harbor, that would then flow back into this area technically. I'm not sure when the last time that's happened, Mr. LaValle, and we were talking about the other day that it's been a while probably, but it's still on the map. Across the street from us, there's a coastal dune, and then beyond that is what's called a barrier beach. So the 100-foot buffer zone from the barrier beach doesn't technically reach us. It's actually out in the street, but the reason we are before you is that we are in land subject to coastal storm flowage. So that being said, we have to follow certain rules, and those being flood-proof construction. So on the plans that are before you, and I try to use my 7th grade coloring ability as best as I can, the only part of the house that's actually going to physically have a concrete structure under it is the rear of the house, the garage portion. Everything else that you see on the plans is going to be elevated up on piers. So there's going to be an ability for if there was a storm surge, to be able to flow underneath and out of the, below the building. So there'll be nothing blocking it. There will be some siding, but that will have an engineered opening. We put a detail that the architect provided us in the lower right-hand corner. It's more of a louver. And then underneath the front deck, there'd probably be some type of maybe a covering or screening, a louver type of thing. Mr. Rizzuto will probably do that when he's done. And that will also be up, elevated in the air, will not have any restriction to any drainage flow. Below the building, I believe we're just gonna have crushed stone. Just crushed stone will be below the building, so there won't be any issues with any impervious surfaces below that. At the site visit that we had this past Saturday, we had a couple of comments. One was about the driveway. We had shown it, it's been on that way for a while as a paved driveway. We were asked to please change that to something that's not impervious. Mr. Rizzuto said he was planning on putting in a paver stone driveway anyway, so that was a win-win. The other question was about the boring that was conducted in the middle of the structure. I don't know if Mr. Chairman sent you a boring. So it looks like there's about 28 feet of marine sands, so no, which is kind of unusual. I normally would expect to go down a little bit, maybe find a little more marine silt and clay, but it looks like it's sand for quite a ways. The other question we had was the elevator. What type of an elevator this was. Was there gonna be any mechanical below elevation 10? And the answer to that is no. Mr. Rizzuto actually sent me a schematic of it. It's essentially, and I'll use Mr. Malason's word, it's essentially like a dumbwaiter, but for people. It's going to have electric motor at the top, Mr. Rizzuto. So the motor will be at the top, and no type of a piston or anything that goes down below that. Yeah, nothing.
No
nothing.
hydraulics down below or in the pit or anything?
Nothing below
Everything's
that
on
would
the wall
be-
and up above.
Yeah,
nothing
so
will be-
just, it'll crawl, it basically goes up the side of the wall. The only other change I believe we made was that the city changed the address from 263 Rice Avenue to
265.
265. And I think, other than that, as the chairman said, we've submitted this to DEP. They've stamped it in, they've accepted it, they've given us back the green cards, we've sent them the checks, but for some reason I tried.
Yeah, they just haven't issued a file
Yeah,
number yet.
tried as hard as I
which
could today. but,
Doesn't really affect anything here, we can still close it out, and once I get the file number, I can
Yeah.
officially file it with DEP.
But other than that, if you have any questions.
Any
please.
questions from the commissioners?
Yes.
Commissioner Lavalley?
Hi. I had a question about where you intend to put the openings.
So the openings will be designed, so vertically, they have to be at least 12 inches from finished grade. As far as where they're located, I'm not sure exactly where they're gonna be located, but the formula that we have to provide, and the architect's aware of it, is that you have to provide 1 square inch of opening for every 1 square foot of building in the floodplain. So I don't know the final opening locations of them. I think they'll probably be in the final documents, but they will be there.
Yeah, if you can come up here, Mr.
Mr.
Rizzuto,
Rizzuto,
that'll be
if you
great. Just name and address for the record, too, will be great, sir.
Hugo Rizzuto, 261 Rice Ave. The openings are basically on the lower level where the garage is. There's gonna be 2 openings on the front part of the house and 2 openings on the back side of the house that go outside to the backyard. So if any water comes into the house underneath, it'll go through the garage and out the back part of the garage. Also, on the sides of the house, where the siding comes down, there'll be openings along the side, so any water that gets in will also flow out sideways. The deck in the front actually has what do you call it? What is that called?
You're gonna put lattice or something?
Like lattice,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what we were
lattice.
thinking about the
So
other day.
that's open.
That's already open, the front part of it.
Completely open.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of movement, both lateral and.
Yeah, both
forward
ways.
and back.
Well, while you're here, the garage itself doesn't have any opening, is that correct?
The garage itself, all it has is the door. It has a door that goes underneath the crawl space, and then there's a door that goes out the back of the house. There's actually 2 doors at the back that go out as well. Yeah, so there's 1, 2, plus 1 in the front. So there's 3 doors in the back. There's 1 door that goes out to the crawl space, and then there's the garage door itself, which is about 17 feet wide. And that garage, by the way, is also above the 100-year floodplain. The 100-year floodplain is at 10 feet. The garage is at 10.25.
Yeah, with a 10 and a quarter or something, and
Everything is completely above ground. We're not doing anything below ground. In the house I live now, we're pumping water. And
I'm sure, so you've learned already, so you know what to
I've
do.
learned the hard way.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rizzuto. Any other questions from the commissioners? All
Hi.
right, see,
I'm just curious, is the structure of the crawl space, is that concrete or wood framing?
The,
The
It's a-
garage portion is concrete.
right,
Okay, and The front, the sides is not, it's just the,
It'd be wood frame on piles.
Just wood framing on piles?
Yeah. Set on, the piles will be set on concrete piers to support the load.
Any other questions? No? All right, seeing this a public hearing, any proponents in the audience? I don't see anybody in the audience that's gonna, else is gonna speak on it. Any opponents? So we're gonna close out both sides of those hearings. Do I have a motion of,
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions.
motion by Joe Laval, seconded by?
Ann, I
Ann
will
Coney.
second it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to close out the public hearing? I should have did first, but,
I make a motion to do so.
all right,
I'll second the motion.
okay, thank you. All right, Peter, give me, once we get that number, Peter, I'll get everything, and we'll get everything corrected online as far as the address, because now everything's changed to 265, the city changed it.
Yes.
So we'll get everything documented online, and we'll get it changed. Once we get that number, I'll get you the originals of everything.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Lavelle.
Rizzuto. Have a great night. All right, last item on the agenda. It's a public meeting, Mass DEP file 06106992. Certificate of compliance for Handy Bandar, 15 Arcadia Street LLC, 15 Arcadia Street, Revere. And if you want to come up, name and address for the record, please. Press that button, Handy, so it turns red. Yeah, there you go, perfect.
Thank you. Hani Bandar regarding 15 Arcadia Street.
All right, so he's here for certificate of compliance for order of conditions. We gave him, I think it was last year we issued them. Yes, sir.
Last March.
Last March, yeah. So I drove by there the other day, the driveway's right, everything's the way it's supposed to be. He's got gravel out in front for the driveway for everything to pour out, so he's done everything according to the order of conditions that was given. So do I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Anyone
I'll
have a
second
question?
the motion.
I'm sorry. All right. Anyone have any questions? No, sorry. All right, so it was first by Ann and seconded by Heather.
Thank you.
You're all set, sir. We'll get it signed off. I'll get you the originals in a couple days.
Thank you very much.
All righty? Thank you very much. Before we close out, I just want to, being the interim chairman for the last couple of months and taking over for Andy. Andy has stepped down and retired. Andy committed a lot of years to the city of Revere, probably 30-plus years between the DPW and the Conservation Commission and all kinds of other stuff. He's got a big resume. So I just want to say thank you to Andy for all his years of service to the city of Revere. And I don't know, Ann, if you got a few words you'd like to say about Andy.
If I may add a few words on behalf of Andy for echoing the same words as our chairperson. Andy was very knowledgeable, very with integrity. He handled this position with expertise, dignity, and his knowledge was insurmountable. He was here a long time, and I learned a lot from him, and he is sadly missed. However, I would also, I do not want to forget the other two gentlemen, Vincent Laria and Jim Saboni, who also served the committee well. Their expertise was very important to us, and we're going to miss them also. However, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to welcome on board our two young ladies here, Heather and Deborah. Welcome aboard, and I'm hoping that our new ladies will fill their positions to the best of their ability. Welcome.
Thank you, Ann. Anybody else?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Joe, you want to say anything about Andy or anything?
After such an eloquent job, there's not much I can add. I'll just reaffirm everything that Ann said, that Andy and he was always a gentleman and very knowledgeable and a big help to the city of Revere. That's it.
Thank you, Joe. Again, welcome to the new commissioners. Andy and James, Andy, James, and Vinnie will be missed deeply. They did a great job. That's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I guess it's time to adjourn.
Time to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Go ahead.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor? That's it. Have a great night.